Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel CP Whiskey Creek in N-Scale. I'm Chris, and this video is going to be a little rundown of some of the things I've been up to lately. Show you some of the events I've been to and things I've been working on around the layout. So sit right back and let's have a little look-see at what I've been doing over the last little while. So you may have noticed that I made a video about modeling while traveling, and that was created partially because of the fact that, well, I was traveling. So going back a little bit further in the year, then you may have seen the Amherst video review that I did, and basically leading up to and around the time for Amherst, then I was getting also geared up for starting a new job. So when I came back from Amherst, I had a short period of time off, and then I went straight into a new job that required being away from home for about a month and doing a whole bunch of training for that. So that sort of created this video out of necessity because, of course, I needed to take some modeling with me while I was away for whatever time I had off. So luckily, all the training is done. I don't have to go away for the next little while, so I can now stay home with my layout and, oh yeah, my family too. But all the work stuff is now settled, and now I'm back into the routine of playing with trains again. Of course, while I was away during one of my weekends off, then I got a phone call from Paris Junction, my local hobby shop, to say, hey, your Rapido order came in. So during one of my weekends off, then I was able to nip over there and pick up my CP rail and TH&B caboose. So I also released a video about them because I was able to at least throw them on the layout and did a little unboxing of them. I've had a chance to play around with them. They're, as I mentioned in the video and some of my posts on social media, that they are really, really nice caboose. The lighting on them is a bit to be desired. It was kind of a big pain in the butt because the instructions didn't include what type of batteries. The batteries weren't included. And then once I finally got that all sorted out, even once the batteries were in, and let me tell you, the disassembly was a huge, huge nuisance. But once I finally got batteries in there, it was kind of anticlimactic that the amount of work that I kind of put into to get the batteries in there, then it really wasn't worth it in the end. So they are still really nice models, and I do enjoy having them, but it certainly wasn't worth the whole lighting debacle. Another thing I was able to do once I got home and I wasn't quite settled, but I was at least home, was I went to the Brantford, Haldeman, and Norfolk layout tour. So there was definitely a lot of places that I didn't get to see because there was only so many layouts that you could do in one day, but we were able to get around and see quite a few different layouts. I went with my dad and my son, and it was a really good time to be able to see lots of different modelers. There was absolutely no N-Scale on it whatsoever, but even the HO stuff, and of course the Crucium casket. If you listen to the one of the NMRA podcasts, they always joke about that one. That was a required viewing. But if you ever get a chance to do a layout tour, I highly recommend it because there's so many great inspirational modelers out there, and great layouts to see, and different techniques that people are very open to share with. So it was great to sit down and talk to people and ask them how they did certain things, and great way for them to show off their layouts, and great way to see different things and see different ways of doing things and different ways of modeling certain areas, and took a lot of inspiration away from that on things to implement on my layout, and also helping out some of my family members on getting their layouts going. So speaking of my layout, I finally settled on a new name for my my one building that I was rebranding. So with the adding of the distillery area, then I decided I was going to get rid of the brewery. So I needed a new rail served building with a truck distribution option. So after actually speaking to my daughter for some ideas, then she actually suggested, since she's pretty into baseball right now, to go with one of her favorite baseball brands. So now I have a Easton and Rawlings distribution center. So they'll receive stuff coming in by sporting equipment coming in by rail, and then the stuff heading out for smaller distribution will go out by trucks, and you can kind of see the tail end of a UPS truck there. So little something different, but it kind of helps involve my family in the layout and having their little pieces on there as well. And then I got some new toys for the layout. Okay, the first few cars that I got were some TH&B passenger cars. These are made by Atlas, and I got number 74 and then also number 72. And then to go with these, then I also got the new GP9 TH&B. So even though, yeah, I'm doing modern era, I figured that these might be nice to run once in a while for Toronto, Hamilton, and Buffalo. And then this new DCC locomotive, number 402, will be a nice addition too. So I'm going to get that onto the layout shortly. But I also have one more locomotive to show you. So the other one is this new Broadway Limited. This is an SD 40-2 N scale DCC, and it's got Broadway Limited's new Paragon 4. So this is one of their refurbished ones. So last year at one of the Steeltown RPM, I got a gift card for their refurbished shop. And been waiting for something to use it on, and I finally saw one of these pop up, and I've wanted one of these because this one, I'll get it out onto the layout soon, but one of the SD40s with the Pac-Man scheme. So this one's been refurbished, so in theory, I know that I've heard a lot of mixed reviews about Broadway Limited, but this one, or at least now since they moved to the Paragon 4, their 3s were apparently the real problematic ones, but a lot of people seem pretty happy with the 4. So I decided to finally take a chance and get myself a new CP locomotive. So it's kind of a big day for the old Whiskey Creek, because we have 2 new locomotives for the layout. New TH&B. And the interesting thing about one of these, the GP9s, is the TH&B actually ran them long hood forward. So they didn't actually basically become short hood forward until CP fully took over the TH&B, and they actually chopped the nose, and then they changed them for short hood forward. But the TH&B, I believe it was something to do with safety, for the crew and for other things, that the long hood forward, for especially like all the level crossings that they had, that it protected the crew if someone drove into the train, something along those lines. But that was their thing, apparently, is to long hood forward for at least the GP9s. So I will probably stay with that. We'll see, but it's definitely a nice little locomotive. Atlas seemed to do a nice job on it, and some manufacturers seem to have some, not issues, but inconsistencies on getting the maroon and the cream color, but these seem pretty good to me. So I got this, and I got this new Broadway Limited one. That need to get these guys out onto the layout and get them running around. So let's go do that. Now, I haven't spent a lot of time playing with this new Broadway Limited locomotive, but so far it is a very nice locomotive. Some of the functions are a little different. Um, for example, the cab light is supposed to be like an F10 to turn that off, and it doesn't actually turn off. And if you have the sound off when you're running, it gives off this weird little hum. Um, and like I said, some of the function settings that they have programmed, or at least on the piece of paper, don't seem to do what they're supposed to do. But um, it's a really good runner. It seems to have no problems on the track, and this is it at like speed step one. It's a nice little crawler. It's going to be, I think, a really good locomotive. Um, is it perfect? I'm not sure, especially until I figure out some of the lights. But what I need to do is probably get it onto the programming track and maybe tweak up some stuff. So, but overall, especially for something that came back refurbished, then it seems pretty good, and I'm pretty happy with it overall. So it's a nice addition, and I'm happy to add another Pac-Man scheme thing to my layout. Same deal with my Atlas GP9. It's a great little locomotive, and I've only played around with it a little bit. Really, both of the locomotives I need to get onto the programming track, because there's only so many locomotives I can have running at 003, so I need to get them all set up. My CN Veterans unit is still 003, so I need to have some programming time to get all these locomotives sorted. But um, yeah, overall, I'm pretty happy with the two locomotives. I gotta not try not to get any more for the rest of the year. Try to focus on some other projects. So buying two locomotives back to back. They both sort of showed up while I was away, so that was a little bit of a surprise and a hit. But overall, I'm glad that I got them, especially because who knows when they'll be available again. So that's it for my layout update for April of 2024. Got a few new cars and locomotives, and got some of my caboose, and did some layout tours, and finally got my work training over and done with. So now I can sit down and focus on doing more stuff on the actual layout itself. So I got lots more ideas and plans to do for the rest of the year. So thanks for popping by. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and then you can stay tuned with some of the other updates and things I have planned for the rest of the year. So like I said, thanks for coming, and have a good day.